Mail Service Pharmacy Standard CSCD 6 is kind of an oddly written standard, so it takes a bit of effort to sort through it. It provides for telephonic services with clinicians involved to be provided during certain hours for consumers, pharmacies, and prescribers, including physicians and anyone else who is licensed to prescribe medication. It's oddly written because in subsection A, as you will see, it says you've got to provide 12 hours of telephonic coverage. But then it says for consumers you need to have 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. In all the time zones in which you operate, 98% of your consumers. And then for prescribers, for pharmacies, it seems to say, although the comma seems to be misplaced, that it's for pharmacies whenever the pharmacies are open for normal business hours. So that's a little unclear. And then the third requirement for prescribers is not 12 hours, but 10 hours, for example, 8 to 6, or I presume 9 to 7. So it's Section A is a little awkward. I think there will probably be some sort of clarifying language within the next year. Until that happens, though, it's safe to say that you're going to need to have clinicians on staff to handle consumer calls, and probably prescriber and pharmacy calls for 12 hours. That's probably the safe way to do it, although there is language to suggest you may be able to do it with less. In a nutshell, you'll need to provide a policy and procedure that describes in detail your hours of operation of your call center and your staffing of your call center. When are you going to have clinicians involved? How will you integrate your IVR system into this whole communications protocol? But it goes beyond that. The interpretive guide suggests that you're going to need to be cognizant of how you're going to deal with people who don't have touch-tone phones, who are still rotary phone users, and you're going to need to deal with non-English speakers. So make sure your policy and procedure addresses that, particularly if the demographics of your organization suggest that you need to. And that goes back to Farm Core Standard 1. Who are you and who do you serve? The other final piece of this is that you need to make sure that you address how you communicate all this information to these three caller groups of consumers, pharmacies, and prescribers. Pharmacy directory or a pharmacy manual is one way. What kind of information do you have for your consumers if you deal directly with consumers? Is it on your website? Is it in your incoming voice message? And then how will prescribers know how to access your telephones and particularly your clinicians if they need to do so? So make sure your policy and procedure is comprehensive enough to address not only the rather straightforward issues listed in the standard, but also these other issues that are not overtly referred to in the standard, but are still lurking out there, like non-English speaking and non-computer using and all of that. Finally, it's important to note that this may not apply to you at all. If you don't contract with your payers to provide a health call center, or a call center at all to your organization, then this standard is not applicable. So just submit an attestation signed by a high-ranking official of your company, submit that on a credit net, and in the notes section write, not applicable because we don't do this service for our payers. That should do it. I'm hoping that URAC will clean up the language over the next year and make it a little easier for all of us to figure out exactly what kind of hours of operation are for each caller type.